everyone, and welcome back to another episode of BNEWS Sports Hub. I'm your host, Liz Gillespie. This month, we talked to the Middlesex League Champs girls varsity basketball team. We'll have a conversation with head coach Pam MacKay and captains Natalie Barrucci, Sydney Pavo, and Marina Callahan. We also have our players spotlight and our Red Devil review with Robert Paris. And that's all right here, right now, on this month's BNEWS Sports Hub. To jumpstart our discussion, we'll offer you a little refresher of the team. We go now to BNEWS sports reporter Robert Paris for our Red Devil review.
Hey everyone, I'm Robert Paris for your Red Devil review. What a roller coaster of a modified winter season we had. Teams at BHS kept their head up high and pushed through the circumstances that came their way. Every team strived for excellence this season, but one team that made it to the top were the Middlesex League Champions girls varsity basketball team. 11th year head coach Pam MacKay has taken this season to the next level, even during the pandemic. Last season, the girls finished the year off at 15-5 and clinched a 5th seed playoff spot in the MIAA North Division II tournament. Burlington hosted the Dragon Middies in the first round, and their season came to an abrupt end with a heartbreaking 60-58 loss in overtime. A couple of months later, the world came to a halt due to the pandemic. Come December of 2020, the MIAA already made provisions to have an abbreviated fall Session 1 season and worked to develop guidelines to have the athletes compete for winter sports. With 5 seniors returning from the previous season, the team was ready and excited to take the court. The team pulled through big time as they finished the regular season undefeated with a record of 10-0. Burlington clinched home field advantage through the Middlesex League playoff tournament and was the number 1 seed in the conference. The Lady Devils first hosted the number 8 seed Reading Rockets, where they won by 9 points in the 36-27 victory. Next, Burlington hosted the Wakefield Warriors in the semi-round of the playoffs, and this was the third meeting between the two teams during the season. The Red Devils pulled through with a 29-27 nail-biting win over the Warriors to advance to the championship. It all came down to the Middlesex League Championship game, with the Red Devil hosting the Arlington Spy Ponders. This matchup came down to the wire, but in the end, the Red Devils pulled off a victory and capped a perfect season with a 13-0 record and finished the game 43-40. This was the first time the team won the Middlesex League title since the 1995-1996 season. Although the season ended on a fantastic high note, the coaching staff is sad to see the upperclassmen depart in June. Head coach Pam MacKay said that the seniors were a big part of the team during the past 4 years, and she couldn't be prouder of what the seniors and the rest of the team have accomplished. Congratulations to all the athletes who took part during this remarkable season. Departing seniors from that team will be Marina Callahan, Megan Murphy, Sydney Pavo, Shannon Borby, and Natalie Barrucci. Good luck to you all in your future endeavors. And that is all for your Red Devil review. I'm Robert Paris. Back to you, Liz.
And now we're here with head coach, Coach McKay. Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Awesome. So, what was it like starting the season off this year?
This was definitely a strange year, just trying to get through the fall, not knowing if we'd have a season or not. So trying to balance all the preseason work that I would do in a normal year to be prepared versus the risk that maybe I would be let down and we wouldn't have a season.
Yeah.
So it was nice. It happened pretty quickly when the EEA guidelines came out and said, yeah, you can play. So then from there, everything kind of moved quickly.
Perfect. So how did COVID really affect your season?
There were a few in-game modifications, which initially seemed kind of unnecessary, where like when you look at the grand scheme of things, not having out of bounds plays on the baseline, we scored 69 points off of that last year, so that seemed like a big chunk of our game.
Oh yeah.
But once you start playing basketball is basketball, so it didn't feel different when we were actually competing.
Perfect. So was it weird having a shortened season this year?
The season felt both very long and very short depending on where we were at. So to have 6 games in the first 8 weeks and then in those final 2 weeks to play 7 games was obviously a massive adjustment. But again, you're in it, days come quickly, you're focused on the game, so you don't really notice any of those things as you go.
Perfect. Was it weird having everyone wear masks?
So another one of those things where initially, I'd say from my perspective, not a big deal, right? Because I'm not competing. For them, definitely something that I was concerned about early on, getting used to that. How would that affect their cardio when they're playing? Some girls play a lot of minutes for me. But then again, as the season went on, you get used to it. Like anything else, you're worried about competing. You're not thinking about all the other little things.
Yeah. So were any games postponed this season?
We had a few postponed, but they were immediately made up. We were definitely one of the lucky teams where we were never shut down as a program. Again, a constant risk throughout the season. So that was something that was really nice, that even if we had to move a game, we still had the ability to compete.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit about the season leading up to the championships.
So again, not knowing if we were actually going to get that postseason tournament. So entering vacation week, thinking that our last game would be that Monday. I think Sid had scheduled her wisdom teeth to be taken out. Meg wanted to visit schools. You know, kids are trying to live their lives. So not knowing if they had their vacation or not, and then ultimately ending up not having a vacation, really, that we were here every day. But I think that they're pleased that we had a tournament instead of having those days off. So it came quickly, and then you played 3 games in 4 days to win a title. So it was a whirlwind. I'm sure they're exhausted, but I think they're very happy.
Definitely. So this is the first time that girls varsity basketball has won since the 95-96 season. How did you manage to accomplish this during the weirdest season we've had?
As a coach, you are constantly evaluating kind of where your team stands and where your team's headed. So knowing entering last season that we had a lot of talent, that we expected to have a really good year, and we did. And then again, reassessing, all right, who's coming back? What's that going to look like? How are we going to put those pieces together? I think that specifically the seniors were very aware that going undefeated was something that was possible, that it was within their skill set. Once they realized they were getting 10 games, then it definitely became one of those things of, all right, this season's half the length, so that's even more possible now. This is definitely within our grasp. And for me, I just try not to talk about that, right? Like staying in that moment, one game at a time, you still have a job to do. You can't be looking forward to the next one. And they really embodied that throughout the season. And I think that their mental fortitude is honestly what let them achieve that more so than their talent.
Incredible. So what were some of your biggest strategies throughout games?
Well, it was interesting because as you're getting into those vacation weeks and you're realizing you're shoving in all of these games in a very short window, whereas before we had a full week of physical and mental recovery before the next competition, you start questioning some of those things. And I just kind of stopped myself and said, this has carried us this far. There's no need to change anything. And I knew that was going to be a hard task for them physically. But I think no senior is going to look at you and ask for rest when they want to win.
Yeah.
So it was basically, keep doing what's gotten us this far. Let's stay the course and don't worry about who you're playing. Worry about you doing what your team needs you to do. And that's exactly what they did.
Awesome. So you yourself are a VHS alumni. What was it like being on the basketball team yourself and seeing it different now that you are a coach?
So one thing that's kind of really interesting is when I played at Burlington, we were only a 10-team league. So Arlington and Wilmington were not in the league. So we were not divided by division. So our regular season was 18 games. You played every single team in the league twice. That's very different from the structure that we have now. And then this year was even more different because of how they did COVID. So the thing that was really neat, I think, for them this year is by having that full league tournament at the end of the season, we were able to be full Middlesex League champions, which is not something that we ever have during the season. You just have a champion for your large schools and a champion for your small schools. And we only play those large schools once in a normal season. So that's something that's not a typical opportunity for these kids. So the fact that we were able to not just say, hey, we're good enough in the small, which I think a lot of people use as excuses sometimes.
Yeah.
We're literally the best team in the league this season. And I think that's a really huge accomplishment for our seniors. And hopefully they'll keep this tournament in some format moving forward so that other teams can have that feeling as well.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit more about the senior captains and how they participated during their participation during the season.
Yeah, definitely totally different roles this year just because of how everything is. So normally captains, if someone doesn't have a ride, you better get them here. This idea of taking on a lot of responsibility outside of the gym as well, which really they couldn't do much of that this year. So it was more about just the communication aspect, making sure everyone's on the same page, especially when you do have things getting postponed or just situations that are beyond our control. So making sure that everyone knows what's going on, everyone knows where to be, and just kind of functioning in that set. The thing that's really nice about this group of seniors is we have obviously great talent in this group of seniors. Both Sid and Marina are planning on playing in college. But they balance each other so well because it's not just about talent. You need more than that to win.
Yeah.
And I always tease Megan Murphy. I tell her that she's my daily reminder to be a better person because she's so understanding and has so much patience for people around her. And that's kind of the key with the four of them is they each kind of took a different role. Marina's obviously your floor leader. She's someone you want to look up to. Meg is that like really positive, supportive person. Nat kind of hypes you up or like is more quiet about it on the side. She gets things done. And Sid's the same way. She's not as boisterous, but she's that person that is approachable that you can go and talk to. So they each kind of fulfilled something that we need out of our leaders. And again, massive impact on their team.
Incredible. So what are you going to miss most about this particular season?
Well, the thing that was, it was interesting. I think as a coach, you don't want to lose practice time because you want to get better.
Yeah.
But it was interesting to see how the kids were able to use that extra time. So I think that in terms of stress levels, we always talk about for us growing up, sports is your stress release.
Yeah.
I think that for the younger generations, that is both true, but also an additional stress for them as well. I think that kids feel a lot of pressure and that there's a lot going on. They're under a microscope. If I made a bad play, that wasn't going to be on Twitter in 20 minutes. Whereas for them, everything's under a microscope. So I think having some days off and having those mental breaks and being able to pursue other things that they enjoy, for some of them, which was jobs, which didn't sound too exciting, but they had their lives. I think there was a little more of a balance for it. And again, if you have a bad game or a bad day, you had a full 24 hours to get over it before you came back into the gym. So it created separation, and we were able to find different ways to interact with each other that weren't basketball related. A lot of virtual stuff. We did like a trivia night one night that Shannon Borby won.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it was nice to kind of be challenged in that way, to find different ways to build as a team and in different ways even to coach. If I only get 3 practices, how am I going to utilize those? So I thought it was an interesting challenge.
That's awesome. So where do you see the 2022 season going?
For coaching, it's totally different from kids, right? As athletes, you get 4 years of high school sports and you try to make the most of them. For us, it's being in that moment, enjoying it, hoping that your athletes feel as supported and appreciated as possible during that time.
Yeah.
And then you're just on to the next one. So for me, it's going to be interesting. We lose 5 seniors. We lose a lot of talent. And really, again, just phenomenal people.
Yeah.
And that is a massive difference maker in high school sports. So having half the team come back and seeing what they do with that opportunity is always the excitement of the following year.
Yeah.
So we do have some great kids, great talent coming back, and we're going to look a lot different. We're certainly not going to have the height at the guard spot that we did this year, but that's the point. We've got plenty of talent there, so we'll see what they can put together for their senior year.
Awesome. How many incoming seniors do you have?
4 of them. Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, and so 2 of them will be 4-year players, 1 will be a 3-year player. So, experience is there, so it'll be nice to see what they can do.
Great. So what do you plan on doing during the off season to prepare for next year?
So a lot of this depends on where our society is at, of what I can and can't do. So one thing that's been nice is a lot of virtual clinics and seminars have come up because of the pandemic. So definitely been continuing to kind of get on, talk hoops with people and do different things, see what people do in other parts of the country. So that's kind of one positive.
That's interesting.
Hopefully they'll have a summer league again and the kids can get back on the court before next season. And for me, again, it's just about looking at what I have coming back, trying to predict what those next pieces might be and put them in the best position they can to compete and try to win.
Awesome. Is there anything else that I haven't asked about that you want to talk about? Or?
I mean, no, I'm glad that these kids are getting the recognition they deserve. For these seniors, this was a huge goal for them. And for myself as a teacher in this building, to see girls basketball, girls hockey, and girls gymnastics all go undefeated in the regular season in the Freedom Division, I think that's a really big deal. And I'm really proud of all those kids. So I'm glad that they just had that for such a strange winter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, one last thing. What was it like to see your team on the front of the Boston Globe?
So I actually laughed at Marina's thought process on that. They don't look at the newspaper, and I don't get the newspaper anymore either. But it was interesting to get text messages from like my parents, or Lilj sent me a text. And I just thought that was really neat. I think when I was growing up, you had a lot more newspapers, local, smaller newspapers. We got a lot more. We had daily coverage after all of our games in the newspaper.
Yeah.
And this generation just doesn't get that. They get tweets,
Yeah.
So I thought that was really great for them to have that piece of history that isn't normally there.
Yeah. I only saw it because my mom showed me her
Yep,
tweet.
exactly. So, you can't frame a tweet. You can if you print it out. But for these kids, hopefully, I have no doubt that some of their parents probably went out and bought that newspaper so that they can have it.
Yeah. That's awesome. Thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Let's check out this month's Player Spotlight featuring senior captain Marina Callahan.
Hi, Marina Callahan, and this is BNEWS Sports Hub Player Spotlight. Undefeated season was awesome. We obviously haven't done that in I don't even know how long, and then winning the title for the first time in 25 years was just amazing, because that's been my goal since my freshman year.
So growing up in Burlington, having older sisters who played, and the head coach at the time was a middle school teacher. So growing up, you're just excited. I spent every Friday night in this gym from the time I was probably 7 or 8 all the way through. So when I got here, knowing that I played with a lot of really talented athletes, my senior year on all of the teams I played on, we had 6 or more seniors. So really athletic grade, really competitive and focused. So it was a really positive experience for me. Coach Breton was my varsity coach, and when I was a captain my senior year, talked to me as though I were another coach, and really kind of planted that seed of maybe becoming a coach one day. So obviously very impactful years of my life. And so to come back, really hoping to have that same impact for the kids who play for me.
Well, when the rumors of the tournament started, I knew we were going to have home seed advantage throughout the whole thing if we continued to win, because we were the 1 seed. So I was very excited for that, because I love our rooms and our gym is so awesome and brand new.
Not knowing if we'd have a season, and then as soon as that decision was made, being told that we'd have a 10-game regular season with only the Freedom Division. So right away, trying to come up with what are your goals for that. Marina and I definitely spoke and felt that going undefeated was a goal that was within our reach, and wanted to strive for that. But as the season started, that wasn't something I really wanted to talk about. I wanted to focus on just making sure that we are the best that we could be every day. And by doing that and kind of taking one game at a time, I think that's what made them ready when that tournament was announced, and they were able to actually compete for that.
I just like how we all strive for the same thing this season. Every time we came into practice, every time we had a game, we were just in the moment, we were focusing, we knew what we had to do this season.
That's a dream come true, to be the #1 seed, to be able to host and go all the way and win. But also additionally this year, to not have the wooden gym finalized until late in our season. If we didn't have that tournament, we would have only played 2 games in this gym. So it was nice for the senior class to get more home games in their actual main gym to finish out their careers. So that was a nice plus.
It was, I don't know, I just got filled with literal so much excitement. I was so happy. Me and Olivia and Meg all came over and hugged. It was the best ever. Well, I mean, obviously we had no idea what was going to happen each and every day. So, like, Coach's motto the entire season was just to be in the moment, like, every single day, just take it day by day, because, again, we had no idea what was going to happen. I'm just going to miss having, like, a family, like I said in the last time. Like, everyone wanted the same thing, everyone strove for the same thing, everyone wanted to be here, and everyone just wanted to win.
You know, Marina's led us in every statistic for the past 2 seasons. And since her freshman year, she's actually led the team in scoring, assists, blocks, and steals. So obviously in basketball impact, it's obviously measurable, the impact that she's had on this team. But for these seniors, just as individuals and people, you can't ask for kids to put the team ahead of themselves the way they did. No one came in with an individual goal. They cared about each other. They weren't worried about themselves. They were worried about that end result every single day. And again, I think that's why they managed to go undefeated.
We'll be right back with Marina Callahan.
What are you looking for?
And now we're back with Captain Marina Callahan. Hi.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. So, for starters, how'd you get started with basketball?
I did like the rec programs with like Mr. Pondelli when I was super little, before travel was a thing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and I don't know. He honestly got me started with basketball. Like, he was like, "You're gonna be a star one day." I was like, "Okay."
Oh, that's cute. So, what was it like being a captain this season?
Well, I was a captain last year too.
Yeah.
So I just think that like I got like a year under my belt to get used to it, and now I kind of knew what was happening.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I liked it. Like, I love leading our team. Like, I just love like having all like the younger girls look up to us and stuff.
That's awesome. How was it different this year from last year?
Well, I know.
If it was different with the
Yeah.
modified season.
I still felt like a little kid last year. Like, I still felt like an underclassman, but I like knew I was a captain still.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just felt like I had like seniority, I guess, on me this year to like help with it.
So, what would you miss most about being a captain?
I'd miss just, I don't know, having Meg, Sid, and Nat just like bounce all of our duties off and like going to coach every day. Like, that's what I'm going to miss most.
Awesome. So, what was the season like for you?
I mean, coming into the season, I didn't even think it was going to happen. So ending up having to have 13 games was better than I could have even thought.
Yeah, definitely. What was it like for you to go undefeated?
I mean, it was great. My freshman year, we went 500, and then sophomore year, we didn't even make the tournament. And then last year, we had one playoff game. So going undefeated and then going on to win the tournament was like the best senior year ever for basketball.
Definitely. So what was it like working with Coach McKay?
I mean, Coach has been a mentor to me since my freshman year. Like, she is just, I don't know, like kind of brought me up through the program, and I've been with her for the past 4 years, and she's just always there to like talk to you like during school, during practices, for everything.
Awesome. So what were some of like the strategies that you guys came up with throughout games?
Well, we just try to stay in the moment, like for every possession. Like, that was kind of Coach's motto this year, because we didn't know like what was going to happen for the next day, next practice, next game. So we just try to stay in the moment for everything.
Awesome. What was it like having no fans at the games for you?
I thought it was going to be worse, but if I'm going to be completely honest, I didn't even notice it. The one game where our parents could come, it was like nice to have like cheering back, but
Yeah.
I didn't notice it that much, but like I knew they weren't there.
Was it weird, like the one game where you finally have like people listening to you?
Yeah, like I don't know. I would like look where my mom and dad would be there and be like, it was so weird.
Awesome. So how did you adjust to kind of having like the weird season?
I mean, only having 3 practices a week. Well, it was definitely a different season in the first half, but then at the last 2 weeks of the season, we had 7 games in 10 days, so that felt more normal than anything.
Yeah.
But definitely in the beginning was weird, just like having one game on Saturdays, like not being in school on the days we had games. It was just weird, because you'd usually like get hyped up the day during school, and then you would stay at the gym all day and then play that night. And then just waking up Saturday morning and going to play was just weird.
Yeah. What were some of your practices like?
Practices, we were just getting ready for our opponents. Like, we would focus on ourselves in the beginning of the week, and then Friday would be our game prep day. And then Wednesdays we try to scrimmage as much as we could, because we wouldn't be playing actual competition until Saturday, so a week apart. So Mondays focus on ourselves, Wednesday we would try to like compete a little bit, and then Fridays we would focus on whoever we were playing that week.
Awesome. So what would you miss most about being on this team?
I just miss like high school sports in general. Like, we all like, I don't even know how to describe it, but
Yeah.
like high school sports is just so fun. Like, I love being with all the girls I've been playing with for the past 10 years. I love our entire team. Like, we all just work together so well, and that's what I'm gonna miss most.
Awesome. Did you play or are you planning to play 4 sports this year?
No, I'm not gonna play a sport in the spring. My dad wants me to, but I'll just play AAU basketball.
Awesome. So you're planning to continue into college, correct?
Yeah, I'm playing at Assumption next year.
Awesome. What
Yep.
division is that?
Division II.
Very cool. What was it like seeing your picture on the front of the Boston Globe?
I mean, my mom was like, is your phone blowing up? I was like, Mom, like, teenagers don't read the newspaper. But my parents were like, everyone's congratulating you. Like, everyone thinks it's so cool. Because when I think of, like, the Globe, like, my dad was like, these are major sports stories, like, next to you, and you are the main picture on it. I was like, yeah, that's sick.
Yeah, my mom showed that to me, and I was like, whoa, Burlington's in the front. That's awesome. Is there anything else that I haven't asked about that you want to talk about? Or have I about covered it?
I think that's it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
We'll be right back with Sydney Pavo.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
And we're back with our first captain, Sydney Pavo. Hi, how you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm good. So for starters, how did you get started with basketball?
Well, my dad played when he was little, so when I was in elementary school, basically as soon as I could, he put me through like camps and like clinics, so that's how I started.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what are some of your responsibilities as a captain?
A lot of the information comes through us, so like coach will tell us stuff that we tell the rest of the team, and yeah, like cheer everyone on at practice, make sure everyone's doing what they're supposed to, things like that.
Awesome. So you guys went undefeated this season. That's great.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about the season.
Well, one of our goals from the beginning was to go undefeated, and I knew we could do that as long as we showed up to every game and played like we knew how to play and just played our game and kept things in control, and that's what we did.
Awesome. So what were some of your strategies that you employed during the season?
A lot of it was mental, with everything being very weird, basically just like control the things we could, and the things that were out of our hands just try and like maintain, but that's pretty much what we did.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So what did you learn from Coach McKay from your 4 years in the team?
I mean, I learned a lot of things, but one of the biggest things was definitely like the mental aspect, and like with high school, it's a lot different than AAU. It's like every day, and it's very different. So like going every day and playing a lot of games is like a big change. So it's like a lot of like mental things, and she definitely helped a lot with that.
Awesome. What was it like having no fans at the games this year?
At first, it was very weird, especially for me, because I'm like would look over at my parents a lot in the stands, so it was very different. But it felt normal at the end. Like it was not bad. It wasn't a big adjustment. It was a little different, but it was fine.
What was the modified season like for you?
The practicing only 3 days a week was very weird, and it was like weird to like plan out what we had to do, but it wasn't bad. I mean, I wish we got to be together more, but the games were good. Like playing on Saturdays I liked, but I would have preferred a regular season, but it wasn't bad.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about the championship games.
The championship games, going into them, there were a lot of teams that we knew we should have beat, but this, like at the end, we played like a long stretch of games, so it was like mentally and physically like draining. So a lot of the games were like close games and like tough games, so we just had to like push through those, and once we did that, we were good.
Yeah. Who were some of the teams that you played in the playoffs?
We played Wakefield at the end. We played Arlington in the championship, which was one of the toughest games of the season, and it was very close until the very end. Well, it was very close at the end too, but we ended up pulling it out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what was it like to take the league title?
I mean, it was awesome for sure. It was something I've never experienced, and I mean, it was a great feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what will you miss most about being a captain?
Definitely being captain with like Marina, Meg, and Nat. I mean, we've played together since we were little, and like getting to be captains together was cool, and it was just like ever since we were little, like it was, I don't know, it felt like everything we've been like working for was like coming to be at the end, which was awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what do you miss most about the team as a whole?
Well, specifically, I'll miss playing with my sister, because this was like the only year we've gone to play together, which was
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. But As a team, I felt like we were all very close, like outside of basketball as well. So it was kind of like my sisters, which was like fun. So definitely that aspect I'll miss.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So are you planning to play basketball in college?
Yes, I'm playing next year at UMass Dartmouth.
Oh, cool. What
Yeah.
division is that?
It's Division III.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that I didn't talk about that you want to tell me about, or is that about it?
I think that's about it.
And we'll be right back with Natalie Barrucci. Okay, and we're back with Captain Natalie Barrucci. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Perfect. So, for starters, how did you get started with basketball?
I started at a young age. I did the Woburn Boys and Girls Club. My dad got me into it because my older sister, she played. So I felt like, I was like, oh, something new. Like I always watched my sister play, so I always wanted to.
Nice. So what was the season like for you with the modified season?
It was definitely different. I really wasn't sure what to expect going into it because there was like a bunch of different like modifications and then they would get changed. So it was definitely different than I was expecting, but I'm glad we were able to get in and actually play.
Definitely. So what was it like having no one in the stands at your games?
It was interesting. I thought it would be weird at first, but actually being there, it was way better than I was expecting because I would always, like, during games with fans, I would look up at everyone and be like, oh my God, so nerve-wracking, but there was no one there, so I honestly enjoyed it better.
Easier to focus.
Yeah, I stayed focused and
Definitely.
wasn't as nerve-wracking.
So what was it like to go undefeated this season?
It was, I was so happy that we did. That was like one of our goals. We always talked about it, like our senior year, like let's try our best. So the fact that it actually like came true was awesome.
That's great. So what was it like getting to that point?
It wasn't difficult because we actually played together, most of us, for a long time, whether it was Boom or like me, Sid, Marina, and Meg. We played together when we were younger. Yeah. So it just felt like another season with us all together.
Awesome. So what were some of your championship games like?
So the week leading up to it, we had a bunch of like games and practices, so it was like all jam-packed. So it was definitely a bit stressful, but when we were playing in the moment, we were like, we just need to take a deep breath and like get through it. So yeah, it was nice.
Awesome. So what were some of your responsibilities as a captain this season?
Definitely communication with coach and with the team. If there was a problem or anything, like we were directed to like talk to coach about it, but we actually didn't have any issues with it, so it was nice.
Awesome. So what would you miss most about being a captain?
Being just with the team. For me, being a captain, nothing really changed. It's just more of like a leadership position. So just being with the team as a whole, that's what I'm gonna miss.
Awesome. So what was it like working with Coach Mckay throughout the years?
It was fun. It was really fun. She coached my sister for a couple years in basketball, so I always looked up to her and I was like, oh, the coach. So then the fact that I actually like got to be with her was awesome.
Definitely. Are you planning to play basketball after high school?
I'm not, no.
Okay. What are you going to miss most about the team in general?
Just the community. We just being together, like it just felt like a big group of like a big family, honestly. Like I felt like this year was like the most connected team I've ever had, so I'm going to miss everyone.
Awesome. Is there anything else that I didn't ask about that you want to talk about, or?
I think that's it.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that's all for this month's BNEWS Sports Hub. I'd like to thank my guests Natalie Barrucci, Sydney Pavo, Marina Callahan, and Head Coach Pam MacKay. I want to thank you all for watching. I'm Liz Gillespie, and we will see you next time on BNEWS Sports Hub.